Hello and welcome to Inside Tennis Football's practice facility. I'm Ryan Sylvia, joined by Noah Taylor, and we are with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network, and we are nearing game day, the third game day of the season for Tennessee football. Kent State is next up on the schedule. Today we talked to defensive coordinator Tim Banks, tight ends coach Alec Ablin, and a handful of players. Let's jump right into our thoughts, starting with you, Noah.
Yeah, it's undeniable at this point that Tennessee, we expected the offense to take a leap, I think, under Nico, but it's been the defense, particularly the other night. And we talked about it a lot, how, maybe not the greatest game offensively for Tennessee, but still you're winning 51-10 against a ranked team. I don't think enough can be said about them. And Tim Banks alluded to, particularly that defensive line back in the spring. He said they had a chance to be the best in college football. Asked him today, have they kind of exceeded expectations? He says they haven't. They've played to their standard. I think, too, one thing that was interesting was he was asked about late in that game. He's talked a lot about the depth, talked a lot about it today. Josh Heupel talked a lot about it Saturday night, certainly. But there was a point in that game where you got your twos, your threes in there, and they're still getting in the backfield. They're still getting to Grayson McCall. They're still coming up with fourth down stops. He was asked about that and then said that, when they put those guys in, they expect them to continue to play the standard no matter the score. They certainly did that. I just think that enough can't be said about them right now, and certainly a chance this weekend to kind of get those guys some more opportunities, you would think.
Yeah, the talk on the offensive side has been the two tight ends that Tennessee used for a good part of the game against NC State. Alec Ablin talked about how that's something that they've been working on pretty much all offseason. Like, it wasn't just like spur of the moment. We see something in the NC State film just this week that we want to try to implement. It's been something they've been working on, and that it's. He said, maybe outwardly it's been a secret because like NC State said they hadn't seen on film from Tennessee, so they didn't expect it. So maybe in that regard it was a secret, but inside the facility it was not a secret at all, and that he was confident in them doing that, and he liked the matchup opportunities it gives Tennessee when the time calls for it, and sounds like it's something that they feel really good about and would like to use going forward in different situations if it arises. So something to keep your eye out. I know we've talked about it since game day. It's kind of been a big topic of discussion, but it seems like this team's confident in being able to play in that formation. Going to players, though, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I got to talk to Deshaun Bishop, second time we've gotten to talk to him since he's been here. Obviously got him a little bit in fall camp, but now here he is, running back number 2 the other night in a big game. We've talked a lot about this as well. Dylan Sampson, expect him to get a lot of the carries. Maybe he's gotten more than we've expected in 2 blowout games, but with Cam Seldon sidelined last week, of course, Josh Heupel said yesterday they anticipate having him back for Kent State, but Deshaun Bishop seemingly, again, took advantage of those snaps in that game. I think one play that maybe stands out was on the pick six that NC State had, obviously their lone touchdown, the way he ran downfield. Still got in the end zone, but he gave us a little bit of insight today about he's going to make him earn it, and he certainly did. But, yeah, a guy that said he wanted to take some of the load off for Dylan Sampson last week. And I think he helped alleviate some of that pressure for him. And, a guy that I think, again, this week against Kent State, you don't want to, you wrote that story yesterday. You don't want to look ahead too much to Oklahoma, but a team that's really struggling coming in here, you'd imagine another really good opportunity for him as Tennessee, really probably wants to take a little bit of that load off for Dylan Sampson going forward.
2 defensive backs we talked to, safety Jacoby Thomas and then cornerback Jermod McCoy. So 2 transfers coming in this season. Both talked about the secondary, but also about how kind of the defensive line helps. Jacoby Thomas comes up with his first career sack against NC State, and a big part of that was you kind of had to respect what the defensive line was showing. You had the linebackers creeping in, so you had all the pressure showing up front, and they just didn't account for the safety. The running back makes the wrong step, and Jacoby Thomas makes him pay. But a lot of that is because you have to respect what the defensive line is doing. You have to respect those edge rushers, the guys up front, and then even those backers that are showing blitz as well that ultimately fell back. But it kind of just opens the door for the safeties and the defensive backs. Boo Carter's been a guy they've liked to send on blitzes when he's been in the game. So just getting a 5th rusher in there has been beneficial, and it all stems on being able to get there with 4 as well when you're not blitzing. And then Jermod McCoy talks about how in coverage, like, they know the ball's going to come out quick. So he said, we're not sitting on routes, but at the same time, if you know that your pass rush is getting home more often than not, you know that receiver doesn't have a lot of time to get down the field, and that route has to develop really quickly. And just knowing that ball's going to come out really fast more often than not can really help a defensive back whether that is coming up with interceptions like Joshua Joseph's coming in and getting a lot of pressure on Grayson McCall and forcing the bad throw that Will Brooks takes advantage of, or if it's just being there and not giving him an option to throw at all in the first place. Kicker, Max Gilbert, kind of get to know you session, it felt like a little bit. First time we've really talked to him after he won the job. Talked about kind of his background kicking, his high school coach was kicked for Les Miles over at LSU, won a national championship, and kind of got him into kicking. He was a soccer player, but now he's at Tennessee. Picked Tennessee in big part because of Mike Eckler, the special teams coordinator, saying that he's never seen a coach so passionate about what he does and everything, and how that's been really beneficial. Learned from Charles Campbell, Tennessee's kicker from last year. Good relationship with Jackson Ross, his holder, long snapper Matthew Solansky, and just kind of transitioning into this role. 5 for 6 so far on the year. Missed his last one against NC State, but has looked really solid so far in his limited opportunities. Also talked about, I think what was pretty cool, he was like, glad I got a kick against Kent State because I didn't want my first field goal to come against glad I got a kick against Chattanooga because I didn't want my first field goal to come against NC State and maybe get some conspiracy hats on, and that's why that one Tennessee drive might have stalled out where it did when they had that nice lead. Kind of the play calling looked a bit of like a surrender almost there in the red zone, maybe just trying to get your kicker some reps in. But yeah, Max Gilbert looks like he's positioned himself to keep that kicking job for Tennessee as this season develops. But that'll do it all from us here inside Tennessee football's practice facility. We'll have a podcast coming out later today on Tennessee, just a little kind of recapping NC State, previewing Kent State, and going forward. We'll have written articles on everything and just everything you need leading up to game day, and then going into SEC play against Oklahoma the week after. Links to everything you need is in the description. Thanks for watching.